We have seen how foreign key constraint will prevent inserting data in the dependent table if the employee ID does not already exist in the employee table. And we were able to insert some data into the dependent table. So select star from dependent is going to give us all of that data that we inserted. So we have a dependent for employee number 1 and a dependent for employee number 2. Now, trying to delete the data for employee number 1 will result in having this record violating the foreign key constraint. So let's try to delete employee number 1 and see what's going to happen. So delete from employee where the ID is equal to 1. Now, if I try to run this, it is not going to accept it, and basically it's going to say cannot delete or update parent row, a foreign key constraint fails. So now we are in the situation where we cannot delete an employee unless we go ahead and delete all of the dependents for that employee. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and delete the dependents first, but there is an easier way, and that easier way basically comes at the time of creating the foreign key constraint. So let me go ahead and delete the foreign key constraint on this table, and then we'll try to run that command back again. So I will go over all of those constraint dropping, but since I want to drop this right now, so I'll just drop it right now, and then later on I will show you how you can drop any constraint from any table. So to change anything in a table, we'll say alter table, and the table is going to be dependent. And what I want to do is I want to drop the foreign key constraint, and now I have to give the foreign key constraint name, and this is why this becomes useful. So this is the name of the foreign key that I want to drop. Okay, so let me run this command, and it worked. 0 was affected, and there is no warning, nothing. Now if I run this, it is going to run basically because I don't have any constraint. But I want it to run when I also have constraints. So what I will do is I need to add a foreign key constraint back, but I need to make it in a way that it's going to automatically drop all the related records. So I will go ahead and alter the table again, but since I dropped the constraint, let me now add another constraint. So add constraint, and I will use the same name because I just dropped the constraint. So I can use the same name because this name doesn't exist anymore. So the constraint is going to be foreign key, and the foreign key is going to be employee ID, and it is going to reference employee, which is my table, and targeting specifically the ID column. Now I can say this on delete cascade. So cascading on delete is going to basically allow me to delete any record, and that's going to delete all of the records at that table. So let me just run this, and we're able to create our constraint. So let me just comment that out, and now let me try to select everything, select star from employee, and I just need a semicolon here. So let me run this query alone. So I got John, which I want to delete. Now if I run the whole thing, I got John deleted. Now remember, we had a dependent depending on John from our dependent table. So let me go and look at the dependent, and I want to run this query. Now the wife of John got removed because it had employee ID too. Now if I delete the second employee as well and run this, now even my dependent table is empty because I deleted employee number 2 and it resulted in deleting that employee's dependents. And this is the good way to include your primary key constraint. This is not mandatory, but this is always a good way to make sure that you don't have to go and manually delete every record that is referencing some record.